Hello family, Chef Lorious here. Welcome back to the Love Lab. I'm so excited to have you today. When am I not excited? Today we are making a Southern staple. We're making a buttermilk pie. And now someone specifically asked me for this. This is the requested video. So I am gonna do it because I'm a woman of my word and I told you I would. So let's jump right into making a buttermilk pie. So here I've got some flour in here, 3 cups of flour. To that I'm gonna add a little sugar. I like to add a little sugar to my sweet pie crusts, not the savory. The savory ones, like, you know, if you're making a quiche or something, I don't usually put sugar in those because they don't need it. But this is gonna be this is a sweet pie crust. So I gave it a little sugar. All right, and then we're gonna also add some salt because we want it to taste like something. All right, just a teaspoon, you don't need a ton. Again, give this a little whisk. All right, and then we're gonna take some shortening. Now I like to use shortening in my pie crust. Some people use butter, some people use shortening. Either one works. I personally prefer shortening because I've just found that it makes the pie crust easier to handle after it comes out of the refrigerator. Now it don't mean that you can't handle butter. It just means I like the way this one handles. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these pieces and just drop them into my flour. And there's no specific way to do this, but you want to get it kind of all around, okay? Because you're going to go in with your hands and we're going to bring this all together so that these pieces of fat are coated with flour. And you can use butter flavor. I'm using just a regular vegetable oil one, but you can use butter flavor, you can use old-fashioned lard, anything is fine. Now you see how I'm going in with my hands, and what I'm doing is just moving this around, smushing it together. A lot of times people make these pie crusts in their food processor, which you can do because you just hit the button and it'll pulse it all up. Can I tell y'all the truth? I don't like having that extra dish to wash. That's a big thing to wash. It's a lot easier to wash this bowl. It just is. And then getting out the food processor and having to wash it. So that's just what I'm saying. If you think I'm lazy, I'm okay with that. Next, we're going to add cold water, okay? You're gonna use about 6 to 10 tablespoons of cold water in here, and you want ice cold water. In fact, what I use is I just have a mug here. I actually put ice in it and cold water to keep it super cold. And I say 6 to 10 tablespoons because it depends on the moisture in the air where you are, okay? So if the air is really dry, you might need a little bit more. If the air is not so dry or has a lot of humidity in it, you might need just the 6. So 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna start with 6. I always start with 6 and then add up to 10, okay? Now, going back in again with my hands, if you notice, I went on the bottom and kind of pulled it around first to get that water incorporated. This recipe obviously makes 2 pie crusts for a regular 9-inch pan. Okay. Next, what we're gonna do is get ready to roll our pie crust out, and we're gonna do a blind bake. All right, so now that we've got our 2 pie crusts put together, we're gonna roll one of them out. So I'm gonna wrap one up to put in the refrigerator to use later for another pie, and one of them we're gonna use right now. So I'm wrapping this in plastic wrap. Like so. I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator. We have a pie crust waiting for our next pie. I mean, if you're asking me, that means I think we're supposed to make one, right? And this one, we're not gonna put this one in the refrigerator right away. What we're gonna do first is roll this one out. Now you can put the pie crust in the refrigerator, which sometimes helps it absorb a little bit more of the moisture. But what we're gonna do with this pie crust is we're gonna blind bake it. So since we're gonna blind bake it, we're just gonna go ahead and go all the way through. Now I like using this no mess method with my pie crust, okay? So you see how I put my plastic wrap there, my pie crust in the middle, okay? I'm gonna go over top. This is just the way I've gotten to doing this. and it saves messes in the kitchen like you wouldn't believe. Okay, see, double it up. There we go. All right, so now that this is double covered, right, under and on top, I'm just gonna take my hand for starters and just start to push it out because it's very supple, right? See there? Okay. And this plastic wrap is not gonna stick. If any of the pieces of the plastic wrap kind of tuck under it or seem like they get caught in it, that's okay. Just gently pull them out. And at the end, we'll take them off anyway. Now that I've kind of started with my hand, I'm gonna go in with my rolling pin and we're gonna roll this out. Now you wanna roll this out a little bit bigger than your actual pie plate because you need to have room for it to come up on the sides, okay? All right, so we're gonna take our pie plate, and I like to turn it over like this and see how much space I have. So I think I need to roll it out a little bit more because you see how the space here, there's good space on these sides, but in these areas, not quite so much. So I'm just gonna roll it out a little bit more. There, okay? That's better, see that? So what we're gonna do, this is the part where it becomes no mess. I like to just take off the top layer of plastic wrap. And then you just smush her back together, see? Supple pie crust, see there? Boom, that's it. I actually like it when little things go wrong, sort of, because then I can show you how you fix them. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna just check again to make sure. This is like I want it, looks good. Now we're gonna put the pie plate on this side. Plastic wrap is still under it. Pick up our plastic wrap and turn, okay? I know, it's so easy and it's not messy. And then you're gonna lift up a little bit and just kind of go in to make sure you've got all the edges and everything in this pie plate covered with this beautiful crust. Oh, this looks so good. I love pie crust. Okay, and then once we've got it like that, we're gonna go in, take this part off. Some people can do the thing where they roll it over the thing and roll it back. I'm not into that. That's not me. All right, so here we go. See how I'm pushing this in and making sure this is like I want it. Looks good to me. Okay, we're gonna take a knife and we're gonna trim off these excess edges. I'm gonna push up the edges of my pie crust here. See how I'm doing this? Which is kind of like creating a double wall. Okay, so you see how I pushed that up there on the sides? Now all we're gonna do is go back with our finger and go around the pie like this. So a lot of different ways you can do this. I just do finger. We're gonna poke holes in this, so don't worry if you have a little bubble right there. Okay, so then you're gonna take a fork and just go around and just kind of like prick the bottom a little bit, just to help the steam escape. And we're gonna blind bake this on 350 degrees for about 15 minutes, okay? You don't have to do this, but I highly recommend that you do. Okay, so I'm gonna put a piece of parchment in the middle, and I've got some beans. Now you can go buy those expensive pie weights. I think that's what they call them. But baby, you can also get you a bag of dollar beans from the store. Put it on some parchment paper, and that will weigh down the middle of your pie crust, okay? So we're gonna put this in the oven just to give the pie crust a little head start. These beans will help it stay down, and then we will be ready to move on now to our buttermilk pie. Okay, now that our pie crust is in the oven doing its blind bake, we're gonna get to the buttermilk pie. In this bowl, I have 1.5 cups of sugar. Yes, it takes a lot of sugar. I know, it's pie, okay? To that, we're going to add 4 eggs, all right? Now this pie is kind of like a custard, right? So it's got a lot of eggs and a lot of sugar, and you just wanna bring them together. Now to this, what we're gonna add is some cinnamon and nutmeg. I've got 1 teaspoon of each, okay? We're also gonna add a teaspoon of salt because we want it to taste like something, right? Salt is just going to amplify the flavor and it's not going to take over, okay? And instead of vanilla extract, you guys, I started using this vanilla powder and it's working. Okay, so I'm just gonna drop a couple teaspoons of that in because I love vanilla. But I wanted you to see it so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Stuff works pretty good, you know? All right, give it another whisk. Okay, we're gonna add to that now 4 tablespoons of melted butter. That's not true. Y'all caught me in a story. We're gonna add to that a stick of melted butter, okay? This is a half a cup, a whole stick of butter. Oh, the butter makes it luscious. All right, and then we're gonna add just a little smidge of lemon juice. The juice of about a lemon, so about a tablespoon or so. Not a lot, we're not trying to make it lemon flavored. We can make it lemon flavored, that's not what we're doing. We're just trying to get it in there to help the acidity of the lemon juice helps with the buttermilk. They play well together. And then we're gonna add in now the star, which is 1 cup of buttermilk. It's important that this be at room temperature, okay? I took this out earlier and just let it sit and come to room temperature because that makes all the difference when you're mixing up desserts. Because this is all liquid, we need to have some way to thicken it up a little bit. So we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of flour. We're gonna sift it in though, okay, with the strainer because we don't wanna get any lumps in our dish, okay? Put my flour in here. I'm gonna do this a little bit at a time because I don't wanna make a mess. See how I'm doing that? I'm getting it in this way I won't have clumps of flour. Any clumps in the flour will gather right there, like that. And they will not be a problem for me tonight, or today, or this afternoon, or whenever you're watching. Okay, the first bit. Now I'm gonna go in with the second one. Oh, this is gonna be delicious. All right, now as soon as our pie crust comes out of the oven from its blind bake, it cools a little bit, we're gonna pour the filling in. We're gonna bake this pie on 350 degrees for about an hour, and then we're gonna let it set for a while. Okay, our pie crust has come out of the oven. I've let it cool, remove the beans, and this is just what a basic blind baked pie crust looks like. It's nothing fancy, okay? It's just to get it started so we can finish in the oven. Here's our custard. We're gonna pour that in. This smells so good, you guys. It just literally smells like a custard. It's just, okay, let me hush. We're gonna put this in a 350 degree oven for about an hour and then we're gonna let it set. Some people put them in the fridge even and let it chill. Do you? Let's just get it in the oven for starters, okay? 350 degrees for 1 hour. Well, family, our pie cooked in the oven for 1 hour. It, you know, it puffs up a little bit because it's a custard and then it comes down. I let it sit and relax for about a half hour and it is ready. Now, y'all gonna laugh at me because I actually did the video with me cutting this first slice and all that and eating a little bit for you. And then I found out my microphone wasn't on. So that means it wasn't gonna sound as good. So I said, well, let me just tape it again. And I just have to tell y'all the truth. This pie is something else, okay? I let it rest and oh my God. I drizzled a little, oh wait. I drizzled a little caramel on it. Not a lot. Just a drizzle. It's another video on how to make that. Put a little whipped topping on it. It's amazing. You can let this sit in the refrigerator. Some people like to eat it chilled. I just like to I like it warm. It just feels like somebody's grandmama made it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's why it's already cut. Because I recorded it in without a mic. You can't hear me without a mic, right? As much as my mouth runs. Anyway, I'm just gonna tell you again, like I told you on the other